It's really to build community and foster friendship. I think a lot of times it can be very difficult to make new female friendships, and that's, really my goal. And, it's intended for all women, but it's also unequivocally queer, non-binary, and trans-friendly. And I just want it to be a place where people can embrace their geeky side and maybe even try something new.
For any occasion, don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation, keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers.
So I'm with Samantha Challenger, who is spearheading Women's Comics Night at Challengers, and I think it's funny because you, Samantha, have been part of Challengers since before there was a Challengers.
Yeah, I was talking with Dal actually at the last event where I was like, oh my gosh, Dal, I've known you for 10 years.
Almost.
And we were both very much like, oh, that's weird.
Right. Because you were still in college, and it was, you helped us through your spring break. You worked with us the week before we opened up. But I said it was funny because there's still so many people who don't necessarily encounter you because you're mainly Saturdays.
I know. It's kind of like I'm like the ghost of Challengers, I like to say. Like I'm always like creeping around, but people don't always see me. I'm just haunting you guys.
Right? But you've been here
the
whole time.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to look back, especially starting with you guys. I was 18. I hadn't turned 19 yet. Yep, I was my freshman year of college, and it's a very interesting experience to even kind of grow up with the store in a sense.
Well, it's good that somebody grows up.
Well, I don't know. I still watch cartoons, so that's
Sure.
That's still up for debate.
I just saw an ad for a cartoon that's debuting in a week or two called Final Space on TBS. It looks real fun. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, actually, the creator of that is a really funny YouTuber who I watched since I was like 20 years old. So
wow.
It's also it's interesting to watch his development as well. It does look very funny.
We've all developed. Plus, David Tennant is a voice, so that's always going to get me to watch. Yeah, there's a large voice cast, but his name jumped out for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely have to watch.
Anyway, while we were looking ahead at 2018 and trying to plan more community-based events, you stepped up and said you wanted to take the reins on a women's comics night type of event. And for years, we thought we didn't need to do one, but ultimately it's not mine or Dal's decision to not do one. And we were completely wrong to say no all these years, because already it's gotten such a tremendous response, and I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, well, thank you. I completely agree with that sentiment of, we're, Challengers beginning is mainly to just start a conversation with everybody. I mean, mostly everybody I work with are women at Challengers.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I felt the same way, where it's kind of like, well, do we really need this? It's kind of how I feel about at times like just the women's comics panels, where a lot of times you get stuck in the conversation of like, it's so hard to be a woman in the industry, and like we kind of don't really get to know the creator and like what they do. And that kind of stinks because it kind of becomes in its weird loop of just like, oh, we're women, and it's just like, yeah, but you're also, like, what about you?
Yeah,
so
ultimately, I think that they're creators first, then they're women second. Like, it doesn't, them being women isn't as important as them creating awesome comics.
Exactly.
And the number of the, I'm sorry, everybody, we're Skyping this, even though we live in the same city. So I apologize if it sounds like I'm talking over Sam, but there's a Skype delay, so I'm trying to jump in at a natural pause, but failing, and it seems like I'm cutting you off, and I apologize.
No, you're doing great.
But yeah, I mean, it's one thing where people at panels are, it's like women are a novelty, but it's another point to where it's somebody who doesn't feel like they're included or represented in fandom, or we want people to be comfortable discussing and liking the things that we like, but it's not for us to say who's comfortable, it's for them to say. And
Exactly.
if this makes people more comfortable, by all means, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of like, my reasons for starting it is, I even told our Facebook group, it's kind of selfish. I don't have a lot of friends that like comic books outside of like my normal like challengers group of friends. And I really wanted to be able to expand that more and really hear other women and non-binary and genderqueer individuals, their point of view on comics and what they like to read and what they like to play video games. And I don't really have that chance with, my everyday friends that I go to a bar with. So I was kind of selfish in that sense. And it's weird to try and make friends as an adult now. It's a very strange thing.
Right? See,
I don't know how you do it.
I own a comic store. That's how I do it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I can start an event. Maybe this is how I'll make more adult friends.
I was so impressed with the immediate reaction from people because you set up a Facebook group, and it's like everybody who's involved, it's their own mini Facebook group. It's not just people talking about upcoming Women's Comics Nights events. It's talking about everything in fandom, and I don't just mean comic fandom.
Yeah, we're like posting about video games. There's been posts about their own projects that they're working on. A lot of people who come to Women's Comics Night are actually doing their own creative endeavors as shows. We have somebody that's writing a play, and they're having like a script reading soon, and it's actually comics related. So it's great to see a lot more conversation back and forth. And I have literally not needed to do much to start that. Like, everybody was very excited to do this right away. And it's just like, I was just very nervous. And it's amazing to see people embracing this immediately.
I was a little worried about how much immediate work it seemed like it was for you, because you are maintaining this entire sub-community for challengers. It's not just, hey, I'm going to run an event or I'm going to post about an event, but it's now like an everyday part of your life. And at first I thought, oh my God, that's so much work. I'm so sorry she has to do that. But it seems like it's also equally fun.
It is. And, it gives me a chance to, I'm trying to really push myself more as a person as well to be more social. I tend to get very, I guess the best term is like secluded. Like, I'm a comfort creature. I stay home, I read my books, and I enjoy them. And I have a hard time a lot of times pushing myself out there a lot more. So that's kind of my goal as well. Again, selfish reasons, where I'm like, I want to post every day in this group and say, I read this today, and what did you read?
It's so funny to hear you say that, because in the decade that I've known you, I've never thought that about you. You always seem so outgoing and positive, especially when working together. You're great with people.
I think I'm really great one-on-one, but I think like when I get home and like when it comes to social media, I tend to I don't really when I post on social media, I don't really do a whole lot of stuff about myself. And I think that's kind of like something I wanted to do. Like last year I was like, I want to take selfies more and try and do like more social, person positive type of things. And so this was kind of my other thing of like, I'm going to post more about what I think about comics, because I feel like I tend to just not even post about that when that's such a big part of my life.
Yeah, you're very much a cheerleader for everybody's mental health and well-being on Facebook, for sure. And you always post links to really informative and usually heartbreaking articles and things.
Yeah.
So that's just a reflection of the world outside our window, I guess.
Yeah, and I try to remember that this is also, while it is a social thing, and I do want people to know about these other things, I'm also friends with these people. They should know a little more about me, and I'm trying to be better about that.
Sure. When you decided, hey, I wanna run this group, I wanna host this group and be part of this group, what was your immediate game plan for the first meeting?
My immediate game plan. I actually had like 100 ideas, and then I had to reel myself in and be like, Samantha, let's edit this a little. And we always want to be the overachiever. Let's calm down for a second, see what's actually like good for a first event. Because I was like, let's do this. Let's have somebody read our tarot. Let's do this. And I was like, okay, what can we actually do the first time? And I was like, all right, well, let's do friendship bracelets. That was like the first thing I thought of. I was like, I find having an activity when you're first meeting people is kind of the best icebreaker you can have. And when when we're all doing the same thing and we're all like, does this make sense to you? Or I'm completely confused. It immediately starts a conversation, especially if you're next to a person you've never met before in your life. And it's a little easier than being like, so where are you from? How is the weather? Like, it kind of feels a little more natural.
What do you think of Okada's new long pants?
Yes,
Things like that.
How do you feel about the Dragon Ball Z? And it's just, it feels, a little forced in that sense. And I didn't want that. So I thought, okay, activity, great. And then I thought, keep it like a party. I've thrown Galentine's Day parties, I think the past 2 years now. And they're always fun. And a lot of times it's like friends from my different friend groups kind of all coming together to meet each other when they've never met before. And that was the biggest thing that went over, is doing an activity together, playing a board game, and then snacks.
Right?
A ton of snacks.
I'm there for the snacks, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And so that was I was like, let's keep it simple and have, the attendees decide what this will be. Because at the end of the day, I could be like, this is what it's going to be. And at this time, we're doing this. And then at this time, we're doing this. And we're having this discussion. But honestly, I feel that's restrictive and not what the event's intention should be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole philosophy of Challengers, is the community tells us what kind of store they want us to be.
Exactly. I really wanted to stick with that truth.
Well, that's good. And one of the neat things about this event was, first of all, it was very well attended. But second of all, there were so many strangers.
Yeah, it was amazing. My little bird heart could burst. More people kept showing up, and I was like, oh my goodness, I wasn't prepared for this. I guess I don't know what exactly I expected. I don't know if I just expected kind of there's a few people who have joined the Facebook group. But there were so many people, even people who weren't even a part of the Facebook group yet. And it was just, I was astounded.
Yeah, and the Facebook group has a lot of people that aren't even local that want to be part of it just on a regular daily social way.
Oh, which makes my heart burst into just so many rainbows. When somebody was like, is it okay if I join? I don't live in the city. I'm too far away to attend. And I'm like, of course you can join. Everybody should join.
Right?
I'm just like, yes.
I feel almost a little bit bad that I have access to that page because it's the Challengers page. And I do go in and I will comment, but rarely. And I will like a lot of stuff. But as the store... So I feel as the store, it makes it a little more allowable, because otherwise it's not for me to comment on things.
Of course, and honestly, I appreciate the help.
Yeah, and I want people to realize, I want people to see that people do see what they're posting.
Exactly, and that's what I try to do. I try and go in and see what people are posting, respond to posts, and like things. I definitely use the heart response way too much.
Disagree.
But I'm always just like, yes, love, yes.
That's one of the drawbacks Sam has to deal with. The fact that she has access to that means she has access to the Challengers' regular Facebook. So she gets just as many alerts as I do when people post on that page. And not just the Women's Comics Night page, but Challengers in general. And there's a lot of posting.
Yes. But it's great. I kind of always get excited when I see notifications, and I'm like, ooh, is this for me? And I'm like, oh, it's Challengers. But that's great too, I guess.
I'm the opposite way. I'm like, no, this is for me. So you said you had a lot of ideas of what to do for the first event, but that's great because you can use those whenever you want. There's no limit to it.
Oh yeah, I plan to recycle a lot of it.
Sure, sure. And I even got a friendship bracelet out of the whole deal, which was great. Yeah,
And
thanks, Christina.
yeah, and it was an amazing friendship bracelet.
It
Like that
is.
design was, and that's not the design I was teaching. I was like, you go on, do your bad self friendship bracelet making. That's amazing. She killed it.
She came back on Wednesday for the Mike Norton signing and for the Civil War movie night, and so we clanged our friendship bracelets.
That's adorable.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's
When you
amazing.
clang them, it strengthens the friendship bond.
Yes, that is sound science, and I believe that.
Yep. So this takes place on Monday nights, the second Monday of every month,
Yes.
starting at 7 p.m. and going until it's over.
Yeah, like 9 p.m.-ish. Like if we're feeling it, we can keep on going. If
Yeah.
we're all tired and Samantha needs a nap, then, maybe not. Maybe
Well,
just 9 p.m.
Samantha always wants a nap, but
Yeah.
it's a matter of need, I guess.
Yeah, I have to sleep sometime. I don't know when, though.
And so obviously people will be talking about all the events of their life or what they're into in every form of fandom and media. Some of that comics, not necessarily comics. Sometimes it'll be making comics, but because we are using March 2018 as Women's Comics Month, like we did last year, you wanted to expand Women's Comics Night to fit into that mold. So we reached out to every woman creator who is tabling for Women's Comics Month to see if any of them wanted to come to the second Women's Comics Night.
Yeah, I mean, we were already doing this really amazing month-long event. And, in a sense, the idea from Women's Comics Night, I mean, the name came from Women's Comics Month. And it only made sense to be like, hey, you guys are amazing already coming to the store and tabling. It would be great to have you come to our night and meet, our regulars, our attendees, our hopeful regulars, as this is only the second one, so I don't know if you can really call people regulars at that point.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, and I really wanted to kind of have a theme for every event that makes it a little easier to kind of plan activities and ideas around. So for this one, I kind of wanted it to be more so like a creative pep talk. And there's already these amazing creators that are coming to our store and tabling, and I wanted them to be able to have a chance to even talk about what they create and why they create what they create and what this fulfills for them. Because I think a lot of times there can be a little bit of for me, speaking personally, I tend to tell myself I can't do things, like, oh, I can't do that, I'm not good at that. And, pep talk is kind of always nice, and we have this really wonderful, safe environment. And I think that'd be wonderful for us to be able to have that conversation with each other and give each other that pep talk of like, no, create the thing. You're amazing. You're magic. Do it.
You're so good in the planning of this, and like the amount of paperwork that's involved. And when you had the original pitch for it, and it was a well-written and lengthy proposal and what you planned for the first event, and already you have a good draft of what you want to do for the second one. But what I liked the best was the questions that you plan to ask these creators are all not your traditional questions. It's not, where do you get your ideas? What kind of materials do you use? None of that same basic panel stuff that people have answered a million times. Your questions are completely different, and that's so great.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to make it more like an inside the actor studio, but more so like at the drawing table type of thing. Of like, because everybody, I go to readings and a lot of literary events, and a lot of times those are the same questions we ask every single time is, what is your process? How do you motivate yourself to write? And it gets a little boring, and I think those questions are important and they have their place, But a lot of times it's not necessarily the answer people are really looking for when we ask for, like, what's your creative process. A lot of times it's more so what motivates you, what's important to you as an artist. That's kind of the better question.
Yeah, because everybody's looking for a way to relate their answers to them personally, whether it be how they create or why they create. So, I mean, your questions are deeper and at the same time a little more general, which together makes them really well thought out.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm actually like currently drafting up the full questionnaire and everything. I'm trying to be like, what's a very smart way to ask this question? And it's really using my creative writing degree.
Nice. So we have 27 creators for Women's Comics Month, and we reached out to all of them, and we've gotten a lot of people who said they're interested in this, which is great.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Again, just like my heart's bursting. I don't know if I just have a negative outlook, but I'm just always so surprised and so excited by these responses.
And
I'm
it's
just
only,
like, oh my goodness.
It's only 3 days removed from the first event.
Yeah, exactly. And immediately people who went to the event immediately started posting in the Facebook group, and it's just, oh, I could cry and I could laugh and I could just hug everybody.
Well, all of those things are welcome at Women's Comics Night at Challengers. So Samantha, a couple of quick, specifically you related questions.
Sure.
Name 3 current manga that you're reading and that you love.
Oh my goodness. I've been reading a cat manga called Plum Crazy. That one's really good. I like it because it's about a mother-son relationship and their 2 cats, which is really adorable. I'm rereading Blade of the Immortal, and that's just amazing. Just intense. My to read pile is just ever consuming, and I'm just like, I was talking about this in the women's comics group where I was like, it's probably going to follow me and crush me in my studio apartment, and it's just like, that'll be the end of me. That'll be how I go.
That's kind of a great way to go.
Is it Jellyfish Princess or Princess Jellyfish?
Princess Jellyfish.
That's it. I always do it backwards. That one I've been reading and getting, like, because they come out in, like, they're really big volumes, which I'm very surprised by. But that has been amazing, and I just love that in general.
Okay, next question is more than 3. It's 5. 5 current favorite wrestlers, and it could be because of their outfits, because of their ring presence, or because of their ability.
Okay. Okada.
The Rainmaker.
Yes. And
but you have to say why. You have to say why.
Presence, hairstyle, and he has a really good photo book that one of my friends showed me, my friend Ed, where he just basically, Okada just goes on this sort of like friendship date, and it's just him, like, and all these like really kind of like dreamy dream boy like pinup shots, and I just kind of really fell in love with him then.
So is the reader the person he's on the date with?
Sort of. It's him and Shinsuke Nakamura, and they go surfing together. And
Nakamura loves surfing.
Yeah, it's really adorable. I have to either steal that book or buy it for myself somehow. I have to find it.
Or, Ed could just give it to you.
Oh, Ed's really in love with that, though. I'll let them keep it. And I would have to say Sasha Banks. Ring presence she is everything I wish I was.
She is the boss.
I just want to be able to walk in the room with that confidence and just power that she has. Becky Lynch, definitely because she had so many issues trying to open that can. And that was amazing.
The can of pineapple juice 2 Christmases ago. Oh, that was the best.
It was just so adorable and endearing.
It was so adorable. Her next action figure should come with a tin of pineapple and a handheld can opener.
Oh, that was amazing. And I have that really adorable Barbie that you gave me of her, and that's my favorite. Oh my gosh, who else? Okay, so that's 3. Well, I mean, Asuka. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I mean, of course.
Oh, excuse me, I had something in my throat.
I mean, she's another one, ring presence and just, sheer strength alone. Ooh, I wish like some days that I could just like channel her power and just I don't know, make
And
people fear me.
and
I
her
like
also I don't give a fuck attitude.
yeah, and just her ring gear is it's just perfection, just
Right.
amazing. It's always interesting. There's layers to it, and oh my, I could
And
go on
there's
about
there's
her forever.
often
And the hair,
there's anime references in her ring gear as
yes,
well.
it's amazing. Okay, that's four. One more. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the first person that pops into my head, and that is Mick Foley. And mainly, I fell in love with him when I was younger, when I watched wrestling when I was very little, like wearing Gravedigger like t-shirts and stuff little, and that was amazing. Like I remember him terrifying me as a kid.
You mean mankind, right? At that
Yes,
point? Yeah.
mankind. He was
Yeah.
mankind then, with the mask and everything, and he had the sock, and yeah, he terrified me as a kid. And then watching his Santa Claus movie like a few years ago was just like he's pretty amazing.
By that you mean his Santa Claus documentary
Yes, yes, documentary. I'm
about
sorry.
people that play Santa for Christmas.
Yeah, and it was so
Or
beautiful and
Santa's husband.
touching.
Just saying.
Yes. That's another thing now. That's still
That's true.
amazing and a part of
True.
it.
True. Okay, just name a couple of comics that you love right now.
You know, it's so bad. I'm such a bad comic book fan because most of the time I never remember creators' names. I won't remember the publisher. Sometimes I don't even remember the comic title completely. I'm just like a bad fan in general, and I don't know how like that is the case when I work at a comic book store.
No, you know what? That's the modern fan, especially in today's binge culture. When you watch a full season of a TV show in a weekend, you don't retain everything, and you know what you like. That's what's important. It doesn't matter if you know who did it or whatnot. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to know those things. You don't have to know what other books that person has done. You don't have to know that stuff. All you have to know is that you like it.
Yeah, and like it's so funny because like in the women's comic like Facebook group, they'll post like these comics that I totally have the single issues for, but because my to read pile is up to my elbow at this point, I'm just like I have those issues. It looks amazing, and I can't wait to read it, but I have no comment yet.
Yeah, it was like Sleepless somebody posted this week,
Yeah,
right?
and I have like two issues of that have come out, right? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I still need to read them. They're at the top of the pile. I have to make more time. Comics that I love right now, Moonstruck. That one's amazing. Is that Image?
Yep.
Yes, that's Image. That's amazing. So well done. The art is beautiful. The story is super interesting, and the characters and the universe that's built is super inclusive and just hilarious and also really touching. The Fix has been hilarious all throughout. I'm very behind in a lot of my comics, and that's one of the ones that I'm not behind in.
Nice.
um,
And
and
we'll have good news for Fix fans come Free Comic Book Day, but we still haven't announced it yet, so.
okay, cool. Good to know. We'll talk about that later.
Right?
Oh my goodness, there's so many good comics out lately. That's the other thing. I have so many comics, it's so hard to keep up. I've also been enjoying Paper Girls. That one's amazing. In Saga, like those kind of, I feel like those go hand in hand and they're like bestsellers. Oh, Mech Cadet U. I really like that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love big robots and touching like coming of age stories. Like if you can just integrate those like with big giant kaiju monsters, I'm down. And that brings me to Kaiju Max, which is another one I have a lot of emotions about consistently. That one, boy, does that cut right into you, right into your feelings.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, you thought you wanted to read comics? Well, here's an emotional roller coaster for you.
And to use Kaiju Max to tie it back into what the main subject of our conversation was, they just finished season 3. Season 4 is going to be set in the women's version of Kaiju Max. Because where do you think all the women kaijus
gosh.
go? They have
Oh
a
my
separate
gosh.
prison.
I am
And
so
we're
here
gonna
for this.
we're gonna focus on Electra Gore's daughter, because that's where she got taken.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so
Yeah. So
excited.
Kaiju Max just hit its halfway point. It's gonna be 6 seasons
Oh, it
altogether.
is?
Yeah. And I was talking to Oni today, and I had said 6 seasons in a movie.
Oh,
So
that would be amazing.
right.
But like, not joking, make a movie.
There may even be a small Kaiju Max Challengers Doomco Designs crossover in the not too distant future, but we'll see.
Oh my goodness.
We'll see.
My heart is exploding. Ooh, that sounds amazing. I'm very excited for that.
So, Samantha, what is the mission of Women's Comics Night?
Well, I guess the mission is it's really just supposed to be a casual hangout. That's the main idea. And it's really to build community and foster friendship. I think a lot of times it can be very difficult to make new female friendships, and that's really my goal. And it's intended for all women, but it's also unequivocally queer, non-binary, and trans friendly. And I just want it to be a place where people can embrace their geeky side and maybe even try something new with friends.
And if people decide they want to show up to any of the events, it's always the second Monday of the month, starting at 7 o'clock. And people aren't required to talk or contribute, right? They could be there just to observe.
Yeah.
If they're more comfortable that way.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always going to be things to do, so it doesn't have to feel like, you got to sit in a corner with your phone, which is where I usually am at a party. Because that's just how I am. It's more so like, if you want to bring an activity that you're doing, like if you're working on a comic or you're currently knitting a scarf or anything like that, you can bring those and work on those as well. It's really just a kind of a time for you to step away and maybe be with some people. I always have problems, making myself be social, and it's kind of nice to have an excuse, like an event like this.
Yeah, excellent. And anybody's welcome to join the Facebook group?
Yes, exactly.
It's on the Challengers Facebook page. Does it have a dedicated address?
It doesn't. With Facebook groups, they give them weird numbers. If you search Women's Comics Night, it's the only one that's going to come up.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for A, this conversation, B, a decade of friendship, C, all of the hard work that you've been putting into this event, and for making it already as awesome as possible.
Oh, thank you. I mean, thank you for giving me a really cool place to do this stuff at. If I didn't have Challengers, I'd never have this.
Ah.
And thank you for the 10 years of friendship and being amazing.
Plenty more where that came from.
Yay!
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.